I still remember the way the air felt that morning. Heavy, too quiet, like it knew something I didn't. I was humming on my way to the office, holding coffee for Maya and smiling at the thought of surprising her. She'd been distant lately, but I told myself it was stress. Love blinds you that way. When I stepped into the building, the first thing I heard was laughter, soft, familiar, and cruelly misplaced. I followed the sound, thinking maybe I was wrong, maybe it was nothing. But when I opened my office door, the world just stopped. Maya was in Rayan's arms. Her hands were on his chest, her head resting where mine used to. Maya? My voice cracked, she froze. Rayan turned around, his face pale. Aiden, listen, it's not what you think. Not what I think? I whispered. Then tell me what I'm seeing. He stepped forward. We didn't mean for it to happen. It just don't, I said, backing away. Don't you dare say it just happened. Maya's eyes darted everywhere but at me. You were always busy, Aiden. You changed after your father made you manager. I felt alone. I laughed, but it came out hollow. So loneliness justifies this? With my best friend? Rayan ran a hand through his hair. We didn't plan it. It started after your engagement party. Things got complicated. Complicated? I repeated, my voice shaking. You kissed my fiancé and called it complicated? Maya finally met my eyes, tears forming. I never loved you the way you loved me. That sentence hit harder than any betrayal could. My heart seemed to stop beating, like her words stole the rhythm from it. I stared at her, trying to recognize the woman standing there. But she was gone. The Maya I loved didn't exist anymore. I turned to Rayan. How long? He hesitated. 6 months, I closed my eyes. 6 months of lies, of pretending, of her whispering, I love you after seeing him. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. Maya, I whispered, I was going to build a life with you. I trusted you with everything, she bit her lip. I didn't want to hurt you. Then why did you? She didn't answer. I dropped the coffee cup. It shattered on the floor, its contents spreading like the pieces of my chest. You two deserve each other, I said quietly. And I deserve better. As I walked out, Rayan called after me. Aiden, wait! I stopped at the door. You were my brother, Rayan. You both took that from me. Their silence followed me down the hall, louder than any words could be. Outside, the sunlight felt wrong, too bright for a day that had just ended everything. I didn't cry until I sat in my car. Then it all came out, the love, the trust, the years, everything. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't angry yet, just broken. The days after that moment blurred together. Everything I built, everything I believed in, fell apart faster than I could breathe. When I went back to the office, Rayan had already changed the passwords, locked the accounts, and smiled through meetings like nothing had happened. I stormed into his office. What the hell did you do? I shouted. He leaned back in my chair, and said, Business is business, Aiden. You were too emotional to run things. Emotional? I slammed my fist on the desk. You stole my clients, my contracts, and my trust. That's not business, it's betrayal, he shrugged. You can't betray someone who is already losing control. Investors need confidence, not heartbreak. Before I could respond, Mr. Lewis, one of our main investors, stepped in. Aiden, it's over? The boards voted Rayan in as interim CEO. The company can't afford more drama. Drama? I said bitterly. You mean lies, he avoided my eyes. You should take a break. Everyone's talking. About Maya, about you. That name cut through me again. I turned to Rayan. You're spreading this, aren't you? He smirked. You did that yourself. People talk when a man loses everything over a woman. I wanted to punch him, but I didn't. I walked out before my rage drowned me completely. When I got home, my father was sitting in his chair, silent. The TV played the news of our company's stock crash. His face was pale. Dad, I said quietly, I'm fixing it. I just need time. He looked at me, disappointment hiding behind his tired eyes. You trusted the wrong people, son. I know, he sighed. I told you Rayan was too slick to be loyal. But you believed in friendship. That was your mistake. Please, I whispered, my throat tightening. Don't give up on me. I'm not, he said softly. But I don't think my heart can take much more of this. Later that night, I heard a crash from his room. I ran in and found him on the floor, struggling to breathe. Dad, stay with me! I called the ambulance with shaking hands. The world blurred again, sirens, bright lights, doctors shouting. When the doctor finally came out, his voice was calm but heavy. He had a stroke. We'll do our best, but stress made it worse. I sat in the hospital corridor, numb. My phone buzzed nonstop. Calls from reporters, messages from friends who suddenly couldn't be involved. I threw it against the wall. By the next week, everything was gone. The company was Rayon's. The investors followed him, and Maya's lies painted me as unstable. I saw my reflection in a shop window, unshaven, hollow eyes, suit wrinkled and dirty. That night, I checked into a cheap motel at the edge of the city. The mirror in the bathroom was cracked, fitting for what I'd become. I'll come back, I told my reflection quietly. Not for them, for me. The man staring back didn't look convinced, but he would be, because I had nothing left to lose. 3 years. That's how long it took for me to feel human again. 3 years of silence, of starting from nothing, of building something no one believed I could. Every failure became fuel. Every memory of their laughter burned behind my ribs like a warning. I was in a cramped apartment in another country, typing away at my laptop when Eleanor Hart first called me. "Aiden Cole," she said, her voice sharp and curious. "You applied for funding. Your plan looks impossible. Then why call me?" I asked. "Because impossible interests me," she replied. "But tell me something. Why should I invest in a man who lost everything?" I hesitated. Because that man learned what it's like to have nothing. And people like that, they don't stop until they have something worth losing again. She laughed softly. "Good answer. Meet me tomorrow at 10. Don't be late. I hate wasting time." The next morning, I found her sitting in a cafe, power in every movement she made. Her eyes studied me like she was deciding if I was a risk or a weapon. "So," she said, sipping her coffee, "what exactly are you building?" "Coal Dynamics," I said. "A company that focuses on smarter logistics, technology that cuts out corruption, false reporting, and greed." "Sounds noble." She tilted her head. "But noble doesn't make money." "It will," I said firmly. "Because I know what greed looks like. I know how to fight it." Her lips curved. "You're not just angry. You're focused. That's rare. Anger fades," I said quietly. "Purpose doesn't." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she nodded. "All right, Aiden, I'll fund you. But I don't work with victims. I work with fighters." "Then you picked the right man," I replied. That was the beginning. The days that followed blurred into long nights, coding, planning, building, brick by brick. Eleanor was ruthless but fair. "You want respect? Earn it," she'd say. "You want power? Stop chasing revenge and start chasing progress." Sometimes I caught her watching me after long meetings. "You still think about them, don't you?" she asked once. "I try not to," I said. "But their shadows still follow me." "Good," she said. "Let them. One day they'll remind you how far you've come." We grew the company faster than anyone expected. Investors who once turned their backs now wanted in. I signed contracts with steady hands, remembering how those same hands had once trembled in rage. One night, standing in the empty office, Eleanor joined me by the window. "You did it," she said quietly. "You came back from ashes." I looked at the city lights reflecting in the glass. "Ashes burn," I murmured. "But they also ignite," she smiled faintly. "You're not done, Aiden." "No," I said, my reflection meeting my eyes. "Not yet. The fire's just getting started." And somewhere deep inside I could feel it, the quiet pulse of something dangerous, something alive. Not revenge, not yet. But it was burning close. 5 years. It sounded like a long time, until I walked back into the city that ruined me and realized the ghosts never really left. The skyline looked the same, but I didn't. My name carried weight now, though no one knew I was the man behind half the companies they admired. I'd become a silent investor, a ghost in a tailored suit. Power had a different kind of silence. Eleanor walked beside me through the marble hall of the Royal Business Gala, her voice steady as always. "You sure you're ready for this?" "I've been ready for 5 years," I said. "It's time." "Revenge?" she asked. "Restoration," I replied. "I'm not here to break them. I'm here to watch them fall." She gave a small smirk. That's colder than I expected. It's not cold, I said quietly. It's controlled! The ballroom buzzed with laughter, the sound of deals and fake promises. My gaze drifted across the room and froze. Maya. She was standing near the bar, her hand resting possessively on Rayon's arm. A diamond flashed on her finger, bigger than I could have ever afforded back then. Her hair was curled, her smile perfect, her eyes tired. She looked right through people as they spoke to her. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Not out of pain, just recognition. That woman wasn't the one I loved. She was the ghost of her. Eleanor followed my gaze. That's her, isn't it? Yeah, I said. And him. Rayon laughed loudly at something a man said. His face had filled out, but there were dark circles under his eyes. Success hadn't brought him peace. It rarely does when it's stolen. Eleanor leaned closer. They don't know you're here. They will, I said. Just not yet. She tilted her head. You could walk up right now, say one word, and ruin their night. I could, I admitted, but that would be too easy. She smiled faintly. You're about to take back what's yours, aren't you? I took a sip of my drink and stared at the couple that once ended me. No, I said. I'm going to make them hand it to me themselves. As I said it, Maya turned her head. Her eyes met mine for the first time in 5 years. For half a second, confusion flickered, then shock, then fear. She whispered something to Rayan, who turned, scanning the crowd. His eyes passed over me once, then twice, before landing on mine. His smirk faltered. Eleanor murmured, He recognizes you. Good, I said softly. Let him remember what he destroyed. They stared from across the hall, frozen in disbelief. I raised my glass slightly, a quiet salute, and turned away. Eleanor laughed under her breath. You didn't even have to say a word. I said everything I needed to, I replied. As we walked out into the cold night air, the city lights shimmered on the glass towers. This time, I wasn't running from them. They just didn't know yet. I was the storm they never saw coming. The call came on a Tuesday morning, Rayon's voice shaky but trying to sound confident. Mr. Cole, we'd like to discuss potential investment terms. It's urgent. He didn't know who Mr. Cole really was. When I walked into his office, I could almost taste the silence that followed. Rayan looked up and the color drained from his face. Aiden? He breathed, half standing from his chair. Rayan. I smiled lightly. It's been a while. Maya turned from the window, her expression freezing mid-turn. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Only her eyes spoke, shock, guilt, fear, all tangled together. I extended my hand. Let's talk business. Rayan didn't move for a full 3 seconds. Then, hesitantly, he shook my hand, his palm slick with sweat. You're the investor? Maya asked, her voice faint. I am, I said. Cole Dynamics recently acquired a controlling interest in your company. Rayan's jaw tightened. You bought our shares? Majority shares, I corrected calmly. Technically, I own the company now. Maya's eyes widened. You're joking. I don't joke about business, I said softly. He sank into his chair, disbelief written across his face. Why? Why would you? Because opportunity knocked, I interrupted. And I answered. Eleanor's voice echoed in my head. You're about to take back what's yours, aren't you? Maybe she'd been right all along. Rayan leaned forward. You could have chosen any company. Why this one? History, I said simply. And potential. Maya's fingers gripped the edge of her desk. So this is revenge? I met her eyes and smiled faintly. This is business. She looked down, her voice trembling. You planned this. For years, I admitted. While you were climbing ladders, I was building the building. Rayan stood abruptly. You think you can walk in here and own everything I built? I leaned back, calm. Rayan, you sold it to me. You just didn't know who you were selling to. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Maya whispered, You changed. I had to, I said. Pain does that. The silence stretched, heavy with the ghosts of old choices. I glanced at the company logo on the wall, one I used to design concepts for. Now it was mine. Rayan finally sat again, shoulders tense. What happens now? Nothing drastic, I said. You'll both stay in your positions, for now. I prefer familiarity, Maya's voice cracked. And if we refuse? Then the board will vote, I replied. And you'll lose everything faster than you can pack your things. Her eyes met mine again, glassy and uncertain. You really don't feel anything anymore, do you? I paused. I feel plenty, just not what you expect. I stood, adjusting my cufflinks. We'll meet again next week to discuss restructuring. Rayan didn't respond. Maya's lips trembled, her hands shaking. As I walked out, my heart pounded, not from rage, but from release. For the first time in years, justice didn't feel loud. It felt quiet, controlled, complete. The weeks dragged like slow-burning fuses. Every meeting was a quiet war. Maya would walk in first, chin up, pretending calm. Rayan followed, his voice always too polite, too cautious. Good morning, she'd say, forcing a smile. Morning, I'd reply, my tone measured. Let's get started. Numbers, reports, projections. Everything looked neat on paper, but beneath the surface they were unraveling. During one tense meeting, Rayan's voice cracked. These new policies, you're cutting costs too aggressively. It's efficiency, I said. Something the company's been lacking. Maya crossed her arms. You mean something we were lacking? I met her gaze. If that's how you see it. Silence. Her eyes flickered away first. After the meeting, Eleanor called. You're pushing them hard, she said. Don't lose focus on the bigger goal. I know exactly what I'm doing, I told her. Her voice softened. Revenge changes people, Aiden. I'm already changed, I said quietly, staring out at the city skyline. Days turned to nights filled with paperwork and silence. I worked late, long after everyone had gone home, until one night, I wasn't alone. The sound of heels echoed through the hallway. I didn't need to look up. Maya, I said, still typing. She stopped near my desk. You're still here? So are you. I forgot my bag, she said, but she didn't move to get it. Silence stretched. I felt her eyes on me. You've become cold, she murmured. I looked up, meeting her gaze. You made me that way. She hesitated. You think I wanted any of it to happen? I think you chose it, I replied. Her voice cracked slightly. Rayan and things weren't what you think. I leaned back in my chair. Don't rewrite history. You both made your choices. I just lived through them. She stepped closer. You came back for me, didn't you? That made me laugh, quietly, bitterly. No, Maya, I came back for what you stole. Her face fell like she'd been hit. I didn't mean to ruin everything. You did, I said simply. She took a slow breath. I regret it every day. I stared at her for a long moment. Regret doesn't fix what's broken. She bit her lip, eyes glistening. You're not the same Aiden I knew. Good, I said. He was too naive. She turned to leave, but paused at the door. You'll never find peace like this. I looked back at the glowing screen, my reflection faintly visible in it, unfamiliar, hardened. Maybe peace was never the point. The door clicked shut behind her. For a moment, I just sat there, the room quiet except for the hum of the city below. Her words lingered like smoke I couldn't clear. Maybe she was right. Maybe revenge didn't fix anything. But I wasn't here to fix things. I was here to finish them. The fall began quietly. Deals slipped through Rayan's fingers like sand. Investors backed out without explanation. He blamed the market. He blamed bad timing. But I knew the truth. My influence was already whispering through the corridors of power. One afternoon, I passed his office and caught fragments of an argument. "This doesn't make sense, Maya," Rayan snapped. "They've worked with us for years." Her voice shook. "Because they trusted you once. Now they don't even return our calls. Then you fix it," he shouted. "You wanted this empire. Go save it!" I paused just beyond the door, their words slicing through the silence. Maya's tone hardened. "You're the one who pushed Aiden out. You're the one who ruined everything for us." He slammed something, probably his glass. "Don't you dare say his name like you're innocent." "Innocent?" she said, almost laughing. "You think I don't regret what we did?" He barked a laugh. "You regret it now that everything's falling apart." Convenient timing. I leaned against the wall, expression unreadable. Every word was a confession I hadn't asked for. "You used me," he shouted. "You only wanted to get close to him through me." "Admit it." Her voice dropped. "And what did you use me for, Rayan? To prove you could take what was his?" The silence that followed was sharp and heavy. I could almost hear the years of guilt building between them. Rayan finally muttered, "You think he's behind this?" Maya hesitated. "He's different now. The way he looks at us like he's already won." "He hasn't," Rayan hissed. "He's bluffing." "Then why does everyone trust him more than you?" She whispered. Another crash echoed. Papers scattered. Something fell to the floor. "Enough, Maya!" Her footsteps moved closer to the door, and I stepped back into the shadows of the hallway. When she came out, her eyes were red, her expression cold. She didn't see me standing there. Rayan stayed behind, pacing inside the office. I heard him muttering under his breath. "He's not better than me. He can't be." For a moment, I felt nothing but quiet satisfaction. I didn't need to raise my voice or make a single threat. They were already tearing each other apart. Later that evening, Eleanor called. "I heard Rayan lost 2 major clients today." I allowed myself a small smile. "The tide's turning. You're enjoying this," she said softly. "Maybe," I admitted. "But I'm not the one pulling the trigger." "Karma doesn't need your help, Aiden," she replied. "No," I said, staring at my reflection in the window. "But it's nice to watch it work." Below, the city lights flickered, cold and distant. I could almost hear Rayan shouting again, Maya's voice breaking. They had once destroyed my world without hesitation. Now, they were living inside the ruins they built together, and I didn't even have to lift a finger. Rayan showed up unannounced, looking nothing like the man I once called my best friend. His suit was wrinkled, his eyes hollow. He stood at my office door, voice low. "Aiden, we need to talk." I leaned back in my chair. "We?" He swallowed hard. I can't keep this up. The clients, the debt. It's over. You win." The words hung in the air like smoke. I said nothing, watching him shift nervously. "Aiden," he continued, "just don't take everything, please." I raised an eyebrow. "Everything?" "You took everything from me once. My company. My reputation. My father's trust," his voice trembled. "I was stupid. I was angry. I thought I deserved more." "You didn't," I said sharply. "But you took it anyway." He clenched his fists. "If I could go back," "You can't," I interrupted. "That's the difference between you and me. I don't live on apologies." He looked down at the floor, his voice barely a whisper. "Then what do you want?" I opened the file on my desk and slid a contract toward him. "Sign this. It's the transfer of ownership. Your company becomes mine," he froze. "You're serious?" "I told you," I said quietly. "Balance." Before he could answer, the door opened. Maya stepped inside, her face pale, eyes red. "Aiden," she said softly. "Don't do this. I didn't even look up. You shouldn't be here." "She begged me to come," Rayan muttered bitterly. Maya stepped closer. "Please, don't destroy him." I finally met her gaze. "You're asking for mercy? For him?" Tears welled in her eyes. "For both of us." I made a mistake. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think that word fixes anything?" "I loved you once," she whispered. "No," I said, my voice low. "You used me once. There's a difference." Her lips trembled. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." "You did," I replied. "And now it's happening back." Rayan slammed his hand on the desk. "Enough. If you want the damn company, take it. But don't drag her through this." I leaned forward. You dragged her the moment you betrayed me. He glared at me, eyes filled with hatred and regret. You've changed, Aiden. I had to, I said simply. The man you betrayed wouldn't have survived this world. Maya stepped between us. Please, Aiden, end it. I looked at her, really looked. The woman who once shattered me now stood trembling, begging for mercy, and all I felt was calm. Slowly, I picked up the pen. You know, I said, signing the papers, I did make a mistake once. She frowned. What mistake? I handed the document across the desk. Believing you. Rayon stared at the signature, his face ashen. It's done then. Yes, I said, standing. Cold Dynamics now owns everything. As they walked out, I caught their reflection in the glass. Two broken people walking into the ruins they made, and for the first time in years, I felt free. The headlines came first. Rayon and Maya Cole file for divorce amid scandal. I stared at the screen for a long time, my coffee growing cold beside me. Eleanor walked in, tossing a folder on my desk. You've seen it? Yeah, I muttered. Front page everywhere. She sat across from me. You should be celebrating. I leaned back, eyes still on the article. Funny, I don't feel like it. She studied me. You thought revenge would heal you. I looked up sharply. I didn't do this to heal. I did it to make things right. She raised an eyebrow. And does it feel right? I didn't answer. Eleanor sighed.
Aiden, you got everything back. Your company, your name, your power.
So why do you look like you've lost again? Because she was right. I had lost something I couldn't reclaim. I turned the screen toward her. Maya's face stared back, tearful and hollow. She looks destroyed, I said quietly. Eleanor crossed her arms. She destroyed herself. You just stopped saving her. I nodded slowly. And Rayon? Bankrupt, she said. The partners pulled out, his reputation's gone. He's finished. I should have felt triumphant. But all I felt was nothing. You don't get it, I said, my voice low. For years I dreamed of this moment. Seeing them fall. Watching everything they built collapse. And now that it's here, it feels empty, she finished. I sighed. Yeah, she leaned forward. You're not the same man who was betrayed, Aiden. You've changed. I know, I whispered. But maybe too much, she shook her head. No, you just forgot what you were fighting for. I was fighting for justice. No, she said softly. You were fighting not to feel small again, not to be broken. Her words hit harder than I wanted to admit. Maybe you're right, I said, running a hand through my hair. But at least now they know how it feels. Does that help? She asked. I met her gaze. Not as much as I thought it would. Silence filled the room. The hum of the city outside felt louder than ever. Eleanor stood. Revenge doesn't heal wounds, Aiden. It just hides them behind new scars. I didn't respond. My eyes drifted to the window where the reflection of my own face looked foreign, cold, tired, older. Maybe she was right. Maybe I'd built an empire on ashes and called it victory. My phone buzzed. Another headline. Rayon hospitalized after collapse. I stared at it, then locked the screen. Eleanor's voice broke the silence. What now? I took a deep breath. I don't know. Maybe I need to remember who I was before all this. She smiled faintly. That's the hardest kind of revenge, finding peace. I looked at her and managed a weak smile. Maybe peace is the only thing I can't buy back, and for the first time I realized winning had never been the goal. Surviving had. But somewhere along the way I'd lost the part of me that cared about either. Eleanor showed up at my office door with that look that meant I had no choice. You're coming tonight, she said flatly. I didn't look up from my laptop. I've got work, she folded her arms. You've had work every night for 5 years. This one's a charity event, Aiden. Try being human again, I sighed. I don't do crowds anymore. You used to, she said softly. Before all this, that hit harder than I expected. I finally shut the laptop. Fine, 1 hour. The ballroom was alive with music and laughter when I arrived. Too bright, too loud. I drifted to the edge of the crowd, nursing a glass I didn't really want. Eleanor spotted me from across the room and gave a satisfied nod before disappearing into a sea of guests. That's when I noticed her, Lena. She stood by a small art display near the back, studying her own work. There was something quiet about her presence, something unpretentious in a room full of masks. I walked over. "You painted these?" She looked up, surprised. "Yeah, guilty," I smiled faintly. "They're honest." Her lips curved. "Honest? That's not the word people usually pick." "Then they're not really looking," I said. She tilted her head. "And you are?" "Trying to," I admitted. She studied me for a moment. "You don't like being here, do you?" "Is it that obvious?" "It's in your shoulders," she said. "Like you're ready to run," I chuckled. "Maybe I am," she smiled. "Then why stay?" I looked around. "Someone insisted." "Ah," she said knowingly. "The friend who thinks you need saving?" "Something like that." She turned back to her painting. "I had one of those. Thought she could fix me. Could she?" I asked. "No," Lena said softly. "Because I wasn't broken, just hurt." Her honesty caught me off guard. "That's a fine line." "Yeah," she murmured. "But it matters." For the first time in a long while, I felt like I wasn't performing. I didn't have to defend or prove anything. We talked about art, about loss, about starting over. At some point, she asked, "So what do you do?" "Business," I said simply. "What kind?" "The kind that used to be everything," I replied. She smiled gently. "And now?" "Now I'm not sure what it means anymore." She looked at me thoughtfully. "You don't have to be what they made you." The words hit something deep. I didn't respond right away. "I'll remember that," I finally said. When the event ended, she offered her hand. "It was nice talking to someone who listens," I took it. "It was nice talking to someone who doesn't expect anything." She laughed softly. "That's rare these days." "Yeah," I said. "It is." As she walked away, her words echoed in my mind. You don't have to be what they made you. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like the man defined by betrayal or revenge. I just felt human. The knock on my office door came just as the city lights began to blur through the window. I didn't need to look up to know who it was. Something in the air shifted, the quiet weight of unfinished things. "Aiden," she whispered. Her voice hadn't changed, but something inside it had broken. I leaned back in my chair. "You shouldn't be here, Maya." "I know," she said, stepping closer. "But I had to see you." I kept my tone calm. "Why now?" She looked down at her hands, twisting the strap of her purse. "Because I ruined everything." I exhaled slowly. "You did," her eyes filled. "I thought I was chasing love." Or maybe power. I don't even know anymore. I lost both. I didn't respond. The silence between us stretched, fragile but necessary. "I saw the news," she said quietly. "The merger, the new charity project. You're doing well." "I'm trying," I said. She nodded, tears clinging to her lashes. "You always were better at starting over." I looked at her. "You think this was easy?" "No," she said, voice trembling. "I think you just survived better." I stood, walking toward the window. "You didn't come here to talk about survival, did you?" Her voice cracked. "I came to say I'm sorry." I turned to face her. "You said that before." "Not like this." She took a shaky breath. "Back then, I wanted you to forgive me so I could feel better. Now, I just want you to forgive me so you can." That caught me off guard. For a moment, I saw the woman I'd once loved, the one who laughed in the rain, who dreamed beside me before everything fell apart. "Maya," I said softly. "Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened." She nodded, biting her lip. "I know. But I hope you find peace," I added. Her tears finally fell, silent and unguarded. "Do you hate me?" "No," I said truthfully. "Not anymore." She covered her mouth as if the words themselves were too heavy. "You have no idea how much that means." I managed a faint smile. "Maybe I do." For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The sound of the clock on the wall filled the room. She looked around as if trying to hold on to a memory that no longer belonged to her. "You were right," she whispered. "Karma doesn't always come from others. Sometimes it's what we do to ourselves." I nodded slowly. "Then maybe it's time you stop punishing yourself." She met my eyes one last time. "Goodbye, Aiden. Goodbye, Maya." She turned and walked away. The door clicked softly behind her. For years, I had imagined this moment. What I'd say, how I'd feel. I expected anger, maybe relief. But what settled inside me was quieter than both. As her footsteps faded down the hall, so did the weight I'd carried all this time. For the first time in years, the silence didn't hurt. It healed. Selling the company should have felt like a loss, but when I signed the final papers, all I felt was relief. Quiet, steady, real. For the first time in years, I wasn't chasing ghosts. Lena smiled when I told her. So you're finally free? Maybe, I said, leaning back in my chair. Or maybe I just stopped pretending that revenge was freedom. She set down her paintbrush, tilting her head. You built your whole life around that company, didn't you? I built it around the past, I admitted. Around them. Around what they did to me. And now? She asked softly. Now, I'm not sure who I am without it. Lena walked over and handed me a mug of coffee. Then maybe it's time to find out, I chuckled. You make it sound simple. It isn't, she said, smiling faintly. But neither is carrying a war that's already over. Her words sat with me all afternoon. The next morning I drove to the ocean, something I hadn't done in years. The wind felt different, lighter. That evening I met Lena at her studio. The walls were filled with color, life, everything I'd been missing. You're early, she said. I couldn't sit still. She grinned. That's a good sign. What did you do today? I went to the sea, I said. Watched the waves for a while. They keep coming back even after they crash. She wiped her hands on a cloth and looked at me. That's kind of poetic for a businessman. I'm learning new skills, I teased. She laughed, and for a moment it felt effortless. No guilt, no weight. Just sound, pure and unguarded. Later, as we sat on the floor surrounded by unfinished paintings, she asked, Do you ever miss them? I thought about it. Not them. Maybe the version of me who still believed in them. And do you hate him? No, I said after a pause. I think I finally forgive him, she nodded slowly. Good, because that's where it starts. Silence settled between us again, comfortable this time. I glanced at her canvas, soft blues and golds blending into something peaceful. What's that one called? I asked. Renewal, she said. I smiled. Fitting. Maybe, she whispered, looking up at me. But I think you're living it more than I'm painting it. I hesitated before speaking. Can I tell you something? Always? I thought taking back what I lost would fix me, I said. But it didn't, I think. I just needed to stop holding on. Lena's expression softened. You finally got it back yourself. Her words sank deep, quiet, but undeniable. I smiled, feeling something shift inside me, something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. The next morning, I woke up lighter. No plans, no vengeance, no ghosts. Just a new beginning waiting outside my door. Revenge had ended. Healing had just begun. The sunrise painted the city in gold, and for once I wasn't thinking about what I'd lost. I was thinking about how far I'd come. The balcony wind brushed against my face, cool and steady, like the world had finally exhaled with me. My phone buzzed. Eleanor's name flashed on the screen. You sound awake early, she said. I couldn't sleep, I replied. The quiet felt new, she chuckled. Quiet suits you. How does it feel standing there after everything? I looked down at the skyline, the same one that used to mock me, the one I'd sworn to conquer. Different, I said. Not louder, not emptier, just mine, so you did it, she said softly. You took back everything they stole. I leaned on the railing, watching the sunlight creep over the rooftops. No, I said after a moment. I took back more. What do you mean? I took back myself, I told her. For years I thought revenge was strength. Turns out letting go took more power than all the anger I carried. Eleanor was quiet for a while. I always hoped you'd reach this point, she said finally. But I never wanted to rush you there. You didn't, I said. You gave me the tools. I just had to stop using them to build walls. She laughed softly. You sound like Lena now. Maybe she's rubbing off on me. She's good for you, Eleanor said. You laugh differently these days. Yeah, I admitted. It's strange. When you spend years fighting ghosts, peace feels like a stranger. Ghosts, she repeated. Are they gone now? I exhaled, staring into the rising sun. They're quiet, I said. Maybe they'll never fully disappear, but they don't own me anymore. Then you've won, she said. I smiled faintly. Winning doesn't look like I thought it would. Eleanor's voice softened. It rarely does. After the call ended, I stood there a while longer. The city stretched out before me, alive, breathing, pulsing with the same rhythm I once tried to outrun. Somewhere out there, Maya was just a memory. The woman who'd broken me no longer had a hold on the man I'd become. I thought of Rayan, too, his arrogance, his downfall, his silence. He'd vanished from the city, from the headlines, from my thoughts. I didn't need closure anymore. I'd already built mine. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of new beginnings. Behind me, Lena's laughter drifted from inside. Light and warm. "You're up early," she called out. "Just watching the sun start over," I said. "Every day's a chance to begin again," she replied. I turned back toward her voice, feeling something settle in my chest, calm, steady, complete. Maybe she was right. Maybe I'd spent so long reclaiming pieces of the past that I'd forgotten what it meant to live in the present. I looked once more at the horizon, glowing brighter now, and whispered to myself, I finally stopped fighting ghosts. The past didn't own me anymore. I did.